I'm going to suggest an idea to you that may or may not sound strange to you. Um, for most of general training with weights and overload, we see a lot of overlap between getting bigger and getting stronger. They kind of happen sort of hand in hand for a lot of your training. Now, a lot of people don't want one or the other. They want just size and they don't care how much they can lift, or they only care about how much they can lift and they could care less how big they are. In fact, if they're in a weight class, they want to stay small and get strong. So there's specialized training for bodybuilding and there's specialized training for powerlifting. And those two worlds overlap a great deal in the beginning, but maybe not so much to an advanced lifter. So what I want to suggest is how an advanced powerlifter might still want to consider a periodization or cycle of bodybuilding to help them get stronger. So follow this logic through, and then you can decide for yourself how to judge that. The idea is this. If I do a strict bodybuilding program, and it could be any one that you like or are aware of. There's lots of good bodybuilding programs, high volume, high intensity. There's all kinds of great things. So let's say the goal of this program is not strength. It is pure size. You want to put on some more meat and muscle meat in this case. If you do that, if you go through a cycle and you add size to your muscle, its potential to make more force goes up. So even though you weren't training specifically to get stronger, and maybe you didn't see a lot of strength increase during the bodybuilding program, you have new muscle that wasn't there before. New contractile fibers, new contractile elements. They exist now and they didn't exist before. It's your job to turn that new tissue into a coordinated mass that can produce force when you want it on demand. So the idea is this. If I just train for size, I'm going to make the muscle bigger. Now that's not necessarily going to make me stronger unless I innervate that and practice and teach the new muscle to contract in sync with the old muscle to add to the force production. It's a simple concept, and it very much can work for you. You can get stronger eventually, but it's a two-step process. You can get stronger eventually by bodybuilding. You lay down new muscle tissue, new contractile elements. During that process of laying down the elements, you may not see a huge increase in strength. You might though, but if you're at a high level of strength, you probably won't. But that's new muscle that wasn't there before, and it has the potential to increase your strength if you can innervate it and coordinate it with the old muscle, that the pre-existing muscle that you had before you added this little bit of new muscle, and it should end up in more force production. So it's a two-step process. First you build the muscle, then you teach it to work with the old muscle that you had to produce force in a strength sport. But that's a simple concept. So there's no reason to treat bodybuilding and like anathema. It should be welcomed into your system. Here's another good reason to do a cycle of bodybuilding. It gives your damn joints a rest. Bodybuilding is constructed in such a way, if it's done properly, where it doesn't put nearly the stress on the joints that powerlifting or Olympic lifting or strength training for strongman or any of that stuff does. And it is a really good habit and practice to allow the body some real time off. Not a day or two of deloading or whatever it's called nowadays, where you take a light workout. That's not time off. That's a workout off. Time off is several weeks, really. And I want to take that back. It's not several weeks. It's several months. It's at least 8 weeks plus, where you take a break from all that heavy strength training and let things heal up and repair and get a grip. Or at least for a while, they don't have to constantly be in this insult and then repair and respond. Insult, repair, and respond. And getting stronger and stronger. And thicker and thicker, like the tendons and connective tissues. They get a chance to take it easy a little bit. And that's probably a good practice. Not to mention, the third reason, which might be good for you, is mentally you're out of your daily grind, your norm, which, by the way, I don't mean this derogatorily, but that's your comfort zone. If you train heavy all the time, and I did, I'm guilty of not doing enough of this. That's your comfort zone. You like that. It's uncomfortable, and it puts you outside your norm to do a little bodybuilding training. And I do mean a little by 8 or 12 weeks. That's a little tiny little program. That's a little tiny bit of time that will not be sacrificed as far as strength increases go. It won't have a lot of strength increases at the end of the bodybuilding program, but it should, and I hope it does, have a lot of new muscle mass to show for your bodybuilding. And then you put that new muscle mass to work when you go back to your coordinated lifting of whatever lift we're talking about. So there it is in a nutshell. Some good ideas to think about why it might not be so horrible if you're a powerlifter or strength athlete to take a cycle of just really good, solid bodybuilding training and let the power and strength stuff sit on the back burner. It won't go away. You won't lose it. It won't. If you're still using the muscles hard, you'll lose remarkably little off your edge. You might lose a little bit just because you haven't done it in a while. 8 or 12 weeks is a long time to not bench press, squat, or deadlift. And so you gotta get a bump right back in. But that strength is still there. I promise you it is. It won't go away if you're doing hard bodybuilding training. If you do nothing, you have an argument that it will go away. So think about it. And you don't have to try it, but you can consider it when you get to a point in your training where the loads are so heavy and the joints are so they're being pushed to their maximum ability to recover. Not the muscles. The muscles seem to recover really good when you're doing really, really heavy training. It's the joints that end up at a certain workload. The joints are what it takes a long time to recover. And if you're at that point, I just want to throw this out to you to consider doing some bodybuilding, and not consider it as time lost in your strength training. Consider it as time that you build muscle that will help you be stronger when you innervate that and coordinate it with back to your skill training of your max lifts. So there it is. Give it some thought and choose to do it or not, but don't be so afraid of or so against the bodybuilding stuff. It has value. Even the mass alone has value, and I didn't even mention that. The mass, I guess I should before I sign off here. The increased mass of any muscle, the increased cross-sectional area, provides more stability in a hydraulic sense, that those muscles are full of water, and they support things more when they're packed up full like that. And when they're bigger, they support the body in what I call tissue leverage, and that's helpful too. Mass helps. So think of those things and consider doing some bodybuilding. There you have it. Thanks for listening.